Hello friends and welcome to another video lesson from TVOS Talks. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe and click the bell so that you can be notified of new uploads. We're in a playlist called From Excel to SQL, and in this video, we'll be learning how to display unique values taken from a table. So what will be happening here is that we will not be actually changing or updating the value of the table or of a record in a table. What you will do is we are just manipulating how the query results are being displayed so that duplicate values are being suppressed and instead, in its place, unique values are being displayed. Okay, first let's look at how it's being done in Excel. Okay, so first, let's go to Excel. We are looking at the same employees table, which I have used in all of the previous videos in this playlist. And we have a couple of records in here and a couple of columns in there. Okay, amp ID, surname, these are the columns right here. So if we will just zoom in on one column here, the one called depth ID, which is short for department ID, you will notice that the values in it consists of duplicates, right? You have ENG, which is short for engineering. And so you have two values for that, definitely duplicates, and you have duplicate values of IT. The duplication here is not a mistake. It just means that this employee here, this guy called Pavel, works in the engineering department, while another person, Sotomayor Jane, is in the same department, engineering. So it's not a mistake. It's not a data mistake that needs cleaning. It's just that in the nature of things, in some columns, people might have the same value, in this case, department ID. So let's see how removal or suppression of duplicates or displaying of unique values is being done in Excel. So what you could do is you can highlight all these values here. There are a couple of ways to do this. This is one simple way of doing it. Highlight the values, and then you go to data. So we have a couple of tabs here. You click on data, and then you click on remove duplicate. This toolbar button right here. When you point to that, the tooltip text tells you it's remove duplicate. You can click on that, and then you can, I would just go with the one radio button with the label continue with the current selection, and then I will click on the button remove duplicate. So what will happen here is that no, not that one. I'll focus on depth ID. Okay, so data, remove duplicates, and then I will click on continue with the current selection. When I click on remove duplicates, it will do its thing, which is from this list of actually five values, the fifth one being a null, which is a blank, it will reduce it to the unique values. Okay, so the dialog will tell you, the message will tell you, duplicate values found and removed, two unique values remain. Note that counts may include empty cells, which in the lingo of SQL is called null. Okay, so if I click on OK, then it shows us only the three unique values. Why three? ENG, IT, and null, which means blank. Okay, so that's how it's being done in Excel, the suppression or the removal of duplicate values. Okay, let's see how it's being done in SQL. So before that, let me just go back to the Excel and go to this thing here. And in this video, we'll be learning is another command. It's not a command, but it's a keyword. The keyword to be used is distinct, which is also an English word with the same meaning. And the purpose of that is used to remove duplicate values, you can say duplicate values. In your query results. So it doesn't update the values of the table in the database, but it simply manipulates the way the query results are being displayed to you, okay? So that it will remove the duplicates depending on how you use the distinct. Okay, I will show you a couple of examples in here and you will see how they are getting used. So syntax here, syntax means format. Firstly, the distinct keyword. It's a keyword, it's not a command by itself. Works hand in hand with the select command. Okay, so select distinct, that's the syntax. It cannot be any other way. You cannot say distinct selects. It is select distinct, and then you will specify the column or columns. So one or more columns that you want to display in a unique fashion. Okay, and then of course from the from clause from the table name. So that's the syntax of distinct. Okay. Now let's look at something similar to what we've seen in the Excel example. If you remember, in Excel, we worked on the column called depth ID and used Excel to display only the distinct or unique values of that column. So we will do the same thing in SQL. I will focus on the column called depth ID, department ID, which is from the same table called employees. So first, let's look at the values of this column. So if you look at it, it's similar to what we've seen in the Excel. It consists of values IT, engineering, only that there are duplicates. And I told you the duplicates is not a mistake. It's simply that certain employees belong to this depth ID and that depth ID. It's the nature of things, okay? So to only display the unique values of column ID called depth ID, then we'll be using the keyword called distinct. Okay, so we will put it right here, right before the column name or column names. So in this case, before the column name depth ID, I use the keyword distinct. So select distinct depth ID from employee. So this is the original output we're looking at. Now you will see the effect or the change that will happen once we use the distinct keyword in this select statement. So the expectation is that it should only show us the unique values of the column depth ID, which are IT, ENG, and null, which means no value. And it's correct. Okay, so it only displays us the unique values of depth ID, which are ENG, short for engineering, IT, information technology, as well as null. Okay, so that's how distinct works. And again, distinct is not a command on its own, but it is a keyword that is used together with or under the select command. Okay, select distinct is the way it's being used. That's the syntax. Now let's use this same concept. Let's look at another column. So first we were looking at depth ID. This time let's look at gender. Okay, select gender from employees just for practice. So we can see that there are a couple of values and we can see duplicates in there also. A couple of M's and a couple of F's. So again, gender, male, female, of course. Now, again, the duplication is not a result of data error that needs data cleaning. It is not dirty data by any means, but it's realistic data, which refers to, it just tells you that certain employees are male, certain employees are female, okay? So if we want to only display the unique values of gender, then the same thing we would be doing. We will use the distinct keyword right before the column name or column names. So select distinct gender, which is the column name, from employees, which is the table name. So when I execute this, it should only display me 3 unique values: M for male, F for female, as well as null, which means no value. Okay, so that's correct. That's after we have used the keyword distinct on the column name. Now we will do something different. We have seen so far 2 examples in SQL wherein we were targeting single columns. Previously, depth ID, and now recently we used gender, single columns. Now we're going to combine those 2 columns, and so that you can see the other possibility of how how distinct can be used. Okay, so I will remove the distinct for now. If you'll notice the select list, select depth ID gender. So I'm using 2 columns, so you can see that distinct can later be used on multiple columns, not just one. So select from these 2 columns from employees. Select the values of these 2 columns from this employees table, order by depth ID gender. So if you have seen my previous video on how to sort in SQL in this same playlist, then you could have seen how the syntax of order by and what is doing and such and such. Okay, so let's get this. So now you see 2 columns are being displayed because 2 columns are being mentioned in my select list. They're from the table of employees, and there is no work condition whatsoever, but I have a sorting order there, order by depth ID gender. So what it means is that after getting all the relevant data which satisfies my select statement, the SQL engine will sort it first by department ID, which is correct here, E, precedes E is the first letter of engineering, and IT starts with I. So that's correct alphabetically. And last is null. And followed by sorting according to gender. So here, both are E. So it makes a second layer of sorting according to the gender. So F definitely precedes the letter M in the alphabetical order. Okay. So that's fine, but we are seeing duplicate values for depth ID and gender. But what we will be doing here is something a bit different, because when we use the distinct keyword, it is not only being applied on a single column. So when you use a distinct keyword on multiple columns, you do not mention it one for each column. You only use it one time. Okay, select distinct, and you list down the column or column names, one or more columns. So what it means in this case is that you want the SQL engine, you want the database to churn out data presented in such a way that it will only give you the unique combinations of these two columns. Okay, so the unique combinations of depth ID, gender. Okay, when we say combination, it's simple. Do not think deeper like permutation, your mathematics. Don't confuse yourself with permutation. That is a more complicated thing to talk about. So let's just focus on combination. Okay, so there will be less combinations than there will be permutations. So you will see anyway once we get the output of this one. Okay. All right. So earlier we were seeing a bit more number of records compared to this one. But now after we have used distinct on the two columns depth ID and gender, we see less. And this is how it is explained. It is showing you the unique combination of these two columns, meaning engineering female, engineering male. These two are unique combinations. Even though engineering is being repeated, we're talking about the uniqueness of the combination of the combined values of the multiple columns. So the uniqueness of ENGF that's different from engineering M. Okay? Again, we're not just focusing on one column, because if we were, then this would be duplication, right? But the distinct is being applied on the combination of the values of the two columns. Okay, so ENGF is unique when compared to ENGM. Similarly, ITF is unique when compared to ITM. That's the meaning of that. So in effect, because of the application of the distinct keyword in this select statement, we are seeing 5 unique combinations of values of these two columns, depth ID and gender. Okay, so I hope that is a bit clear and you're able to relate it and connect it, link it back to how it's being done in Excel. In this video, you've learned one keyword called distinct, and you've learned that it's being used together with the select command, and it is being used. The purpose of that is to display unique value or value combinations of one or more columns from the table. Thank you for watching and listening. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe and click the bell, and I'll be seeing you in the next video.